We're live. Hi, and welcome to Gay Out the City. I'm your host, Prince Electro Diamond, and today I am here with go-go dancer and Instagram model. Please welcome back my friend Derek Thomas. How you doing, them?
Good. How are you?
I am. I tell people I'm alive. This is actually something we talked about off camera. It's like I feel like now I'm kind of just like coasting in Florida, which is why I'm existing, just kind of like do the grind, and like once I get to Detroit, I feel it's just going to be better. Like, because I spent so much of my time at home. That's why we were talking about me doing things a little bit irresponsibly. Because it's like, well, I spent a lot of my 20s at home being responsible. So now getting into my 30s, I feel like if I have a year, maybe a little year and a half, where I'm a little bit irresponsible, that should be me making up for my 20s. But
Yeah, I agree. I'm edging out of my 30s, so
yes,
I've done the irresponsible 20s and some of the responsible parts of the 20s. It's there's always ups and downs. Being single, you kind of, I guess, in a way, you can get to pick if you want to be responsible or irresponsible, and sometimes it feels like nobody's watching.
right.
So so if you mess up, it's easier to sweep that under the rug.
Yeah, and it's not only you can sweep it under the rug, it's you can sweep it under the rug, but it's also like it's also why not, as I've literally pointed out in pretty much every interview I've done. In terms of me acting responsible, it's like, in all honesty, as sad as it is and how morbid it is, when I thought I was going to be dead 5 years ago, the fact that I'm here, like, no planning needed to be done, and like, in some ways, I kind of love that. I kind of love that through this. I will say this: I've had some like I would say over just the last year, I've done stuff that I never thought I was going to do. Like, especially definitely in terms of this podcast, I've hit parts of the world that I never thought I was going to meet people in. And I've done it, and I have. It's crazy to think that like shy me 3 years ago would 2-3 years in the future now have a friend in Spain, friends in the UK, like all this stuff. It's amazing. And I've met some great people. I've been introduced to some great people from between all the people I'm following, even you. Actually, I'm not going to say who it is, but I am interviewing one of your friends Monday. I'm supposed to be.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, I'll point this out. It's not Perry Wayne, and I'm going to put this in the beginning so that way he can see it in the clip. I can't contact you, baby. Perry Wayne, I know you agreed to come on here. I can't contact you. DM me or email me. Like, just putting that out there because it's somebody. I understand why you like working with him. I love some of his like shoots and some of the people he got. It's amazing what he does.
Perry?
Yeah.
Yes.
And
yeah. So we were actually working together. We're in Columbus, Ohio has this huge pride. I can't even begin to guess how many people. We'd have to look that up to see what the actual numbers turn out to be, but it was blocks and blocks and blocks. I mean, the biggest parade that I've been to. And that we did a whole Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like it was like a whole weekend of pride and events and shows. And as Perry's actually, I don't want to spoil some of the things that he would talk about, but he's with Underwear Expert now.
Yeah.
So we did a whole fashion show thing on Friday night at this big theater called Kemba Live. It was there's people that are down there from all over the place. And I'm based out of Cleveland, Ohio. Uh,
Right.
and so when I walked out on stage, so kind of anytime Perry asks me to do something, I'm like, yes, I'll be there. And we get there, and one of the other boys goes, "So what are we doing?" I'm like, I don't know. I always say yes to Perry because it's Perry and I love him. So I don't ask questions. I'm like, I'll just tell him time to be wherever. And so he dressed us in some of his gear. And I go walking out, and someone goes, "Okay, Cleveland, okay, Cleveland," and there's lights and things and music. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, someone's yelling for you out there. I'm like, I couldn't see who it was, but it was cool to be in another city, and people were yelling, we're throwing stuff out to the audience, and so yeah, it was then from there it was the next bar, the next event, the next thing, just
Right.
the whole weekend long. So yeah,
See, I feel like I didn't go to Pride this year because like my thing is in my area, like not only you have to pay to get into Pride. So like unlike Pride where it's free in the rest of the country, no, they make you pay to go in. They make you pay to buy like food and stuff. And I'm like, to me, I'm like, it's not worth it. Like, and the only one I was interested in seeing perform is my drag sister, and I'm literally like, she's performing tomorrow, so hopefully I'll be going out tomorrow to see her. So it's like, I don't know, I couldn't get in the mood. I feel like it's not living in a city when it's like once you're in the city. Well, I mean, granted, you said before that you're outside of Cleveland, but you're like close enough to where it still feels like you're a part of the city.
yes.
Whereas one that I could have gone to was Fort Lauderdale, but I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't in the mood to do another Pride in Florida. I mean, I'm not going to say this. I'm grateful for everything that's happened to me. I am a little sad that I'm not in Detroit now because I literally at the beginning of the year thought I was going to be out of Florida by now. But shit happens.
And there's always something going on over there. That's been the crazy thing too. Is there, a lot of these prides are at the same time. It's
Right.
and I have some friends that they work hard, they work a lot, but you ever seen that meme where it's like, I want to be one of those guys that's like always traveling and has like the pictures and the cruises and the stuff. I'm like, I don't know how you guys do it and go because I mean I'm booked for something almost every weekend right now, and I am tired, man. Like I am tired by like I didn't want to admit it out loud to anybody, but by Sunday night I was like, I am burnt out on. Well, it was this close to being, burnt out on, cute outfits and dancing and going
Right.
and yeah, and but I think the biggest thing is that the people that that are there that show up to watch the shows, to watch the events, to cheer on entertainers. That's what gives you the energy. That's for sure.
Right.
Because for so far this month, at the beginning of so Michigan does like 3 or 4 different prides. They have their they have Downriver Pride, which is coming up. They
Right.
have the main Detroit Pride. Ferndale Pride was at the beginning of the month, so I was booked out there for that. And then the same weekend as their Ferndale Pride was Cleveland's Pride. So I literally went out for the day, did an afternoon event out in Ferndale, got my clothes back on, my suits, did the 3-hour drive back over to Cleveland, and had like an hour and a half of downtime. I'm like, let me just eat like a sandwich and drink something real quick.
Right.
Be there. And it was like, yeah, an hour and a half between the drive back and a show that night here in Cleveland.
Yeah, and at least from what I saw with what Whitney posted photos of, and they just had the motor ball last weekend, right?
Yeah, that was and I was there for that last year, and that's a big one. That's the big downtown one, and that one gets pretty crazy too with people and things. And that's like I said, I had to pick and choose. I was already booked for Columbus, and but she has me actually going out with Whitney this weekend because that's the Downriver Pride, so it's kind of a close out for the month thing. And she's actually doing really cool stuff right now too. She's going on a tour called "Where's Whitney," which we can get into that. But
yeah.
Once
I
we're
mean,
Pride stuff.
I mean, I see her doing stuff. It's like for a lot of it, in terms of me in June, the one thing that I was pointing out to you with all this is like I didn't really plan anything. I didn't plan interviews in June because, as I always explain to people, as I tell people, I'm like, when I'm doing stuff, I'm gonna have to stop for a little bit. Like when I'm moving in from like Florida to Detroit, I'm gonna have to stop. I'm not gonna stop for long, but I'm gonna stop for a little bit, just to like, because it's not like moving to Orlando where I'd move 2.5 hours away. I'm moving thousands of miles.
Right. You got to get
Now,
that time to settle in and get your bearings and get settled. So yeah.
and then as soon as I possibly can, this is the thing that I'm gonna tell my fans. I've been teasing this damn album for literally a year and a half. Well, not a year and a half. I want to say 6 months now. As soon as I can, I will be getting in the studio. The one thing I'm gonna just mention this. I'm not gonna say what it is because I told Derek this off camera. So that contest that I was telling you about, there's a $10,000 cash prize in it. So if I win that, yeah,
that's awesome.
That would definitely be going towards studio time.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I know it's daunting. It's crazy. I know you're busy. Like I act like I'm busy. I always try and act like I'm busy. I take up more time than y'all think. But like some of it has been this time, like I will say, like the only good thing I can say about the depression I've been in recently is that it's been great for songwriting. I've been writing like crazy. That's the thing. I'm literally, as I said, I'm gonna go into the studio to record this album, and I've already written an EP that's gonna come after it. So it's like I've just been writing like crazy. And in all of it, some people may say it's not happy when you look into the lyrics. I haven't been happy. I've known this about myself. It was something I had to confront because it's one of those things where I just know that I couldn't exist anymore the way that I can. And that's actually what I explained to my dad, because literally my birthday is in like, let's see, what's the 20th? We're at the 20th now. So my birthday's in 8 days. And like I told him, I'm like, this is the point. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to renew my tags in Florida. I was trying to avoid that. But like but I'm like, the thing that made me like change my mind. So there's this show that used to be on Showtime called the Big C. It's basically about this woman who gets diagnosed with melanoma, and it's like the story of her life. And I'm giving a spoiler alert. So on the last episode, after struggling for so long, she passes away. And like that's where I had that aha moment where I'm like, how much more of my life am I gonna let pass me by without taking a risk? And it's a big risk, but it's also, at least for me, for all the people as I said, I now know people all over the country and all over the world. And this is what I've told people. I'm not telling this to Derek because Derek's good. Derek doesn't need gigs in Detroit. Derek's already got gigs in Detroit. I don't need to help Derek out. But it's like, to everybody else, it's like, I'm like, baby, if I can get you a gig, I'm going to do it. Like, I'm like, I'll get you in touch with people, because it's like, for me, especially my friends, it's like, why wouldn't I want to help you? Like, why wouldn't I want to give you a chance to have a spotlight, especially like people who are like big in the OnlyFans porn scene, having them come to like Detroit, baby. I'm gonna do it at some point. I'm gonna put in my time, and at some point, I'm gonna host my own show. That's also actually this sounds daunting. This sounds daunting hosting my own show. It's like we'll see what happens, but I would absolutely love to do it if I had the time and wherewithal to like actually sit down and actually do it properly, get the right amount of people, make sure that like everybody can get paid. That's the one thing that I'm worried about is making sure people get money, because I am an idea person, but I shouldn't be the one in charge of keeping track of money. Well, let me put it this way. I'm a drag queen. If you give me too much of a budget, I will shoot for the stars.
But I think when you bring in different, bring in that and you have a good budget and you bring in good talent, you bring in different talent that and keep the talent mixed up all the time. That's what keeps the audience excited and keeps the audience coming back.
Right.
Always great to have the local, the house cast. I mean, we like, as far as booking in Detroit, I do get booked a lot out there, but I get rotated out a lot between the different shows and different venues.
Right.
And one of the things that you were talking about, referring people and getting different people bookings.
Yeah.
And I've never been one to be like, what they call it, gatekeeping, who's booking where and what's going on. There's as far as like us at the entertainer group, like we're all, I feel like, there's a big circle of us that are always referring. Like right now I have 4 or 5 messages in my inbox that they're kind of sitting like that we've talked like, hey, are you available on this date or have you been here?
Right.
And like June filled up so crazy quick to the point that I'm like, I am done there is nothing else I can say. This is going to be my year of yes and
right,
taking risks.
Yes, absolutely. Great. That's great.
Yeah. And the only thing that was this past, so I was in Chicago actually on Friday. That I left Thursday night, did the 5.5 hour drive, stayed with a wonderful friend that lives out there, so that I could be up and shoot with this photographer. So, I signed with a couple agencies since we last talked.
Right.
I'm with a local agency here that's in Ohio, PA, in Michigan, and that's the Talent Group. And then I'm also now signed with Rune Models. That's a 3-year global contract with many more markets. So they set me up with this Aldrin Del Carmen. He's out of New York, but he was in Chicago. So the stars all kind of aligned on that one. And we shot it like 8 o'clock in the morning until 11, and then drove literally straight down to Columbus for the Columbus Pride with Perry and Axis down in Columbus, which is huge, crazy. I mean, big, like a big stage and a runway.
Right.
And then with this other place called Bosco's and another queen that I want to introduce you to, Soy Queen. That was Sunday night. Yes. I'm like, oh man, I'm like 4 or 5 things in 3 days, 4 days. That is a lot. But it's so some of I need to start saying not this weekend, maybe next weekend. Because been saying yes to too many things that are all at the same time. But no, I love like referring people and other people referring me, and it's really helpful. Because sometimes I get nervous whenever I'm, especially a new venue or a new group, even if it's a song or a number I've done before. So I'm like, oh, what if they don't, like, what if I walk in, they're like, oh no, this ain't it. Like we changed our mind. I don't know. Like, I'm always like, what if I don't want people to show up and be like, he was disappointing. Like womp womp. So like, that's always my big worry is that, more about the entertaining and less like I know I might make a couple bucks, but I want them to be earned well. Like I want them to really enjoy the numbers of the show. So that's
Well,
what's
okay. This next one is going to be actually two questions in one, which is one, do you work places with a pole? And two, do you know how to work a pole?
So actually, while we were talking about so Whitney with her Where's Whitney show that's on tour, we were at this place called it's traditionally a female venue. It's called Dream Girls, and I'll have to send you the pictures. There's a video somewhere. It was a heart-shaped stage with 3 poles, and I mean just dark as a dance club could be. And I'm like, and then the crazy thing was, so around the heart-shaped stage were like that VIP seating, like where they're like face level. And I will say something I found is us the entertainers come in all shapes and sizes and heights and colors and everything.
Right.
And some of these really good dance boys, I mean, they're a little tinier and more like, bigger built. They're like that buffer looks. I don't know. To me, when I look at myself versus them, and I'm like this lanky, like Charlie Brown character is what I feel like. And yes, I do know some tricks. I've taken some dance classes with the pole. But my biggest thing was like, oh my God, don't slide off. Because I do have a couple. Every dancer has some signature moves, and one of mine is like I can do a great like Britney Spears style like floor slide, into something cool. But I'm like, oh please, Derek, do not slide off the end of that stage. Like that's gonna hurt. And in this case, I'm like, don't be that dancer that kicks somebody in the face. Because I mean, they were like literally like this at the edge of the stage, and I'm like, you're gonna kick somebody right in the face, and then that'll be the last gig that you ever get. Or dancer knocks out teeth. That'll be the headline.
Yes.
So yes, and yes.
Okay. So with that, reason I'm also saying that is, I know you were down here. You're down in South Florida. What, like 2 months ago? 1 month ago?
2 months back, yeah.
Yeah. So like, I will say this: now that you were necessarily looking to work, but if you do want to come down here and work in Fort Lauderdale, I will tell you, go look in your follows. One of my friends is following you, who's a booker here. His name is Giovanni Milani.
Okay.
He books, yeah. Love Gio. Gio books, like, he's one of the people who's pretty much, because he's been in South Florida so long, he's pretty much worked every club in Wilton. At least I know every club in Wilton Manors. Like,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So, and I know he follows you. So, because I'm like, if you're coming down here, I say Fort Lauderdale. Miami, I can't help you. I don't know anybody who works in Miami, but that would be great.
Come down there.
Yeah. And I mean, the reason that I said, because like the reason I say this is like, and the reason I asked about the polls, because almost every stage in Fort Lauderdale that I've seen has a poll except for one. So like, do all the dancers use the pole? No. Should the dancers use the pole? Yes, because a lot of y'all who are just standing up on the stage fucking doing nothing. Learn how to work a pole. My thing is, I will not tip somebody who's not doing anything. Like, that to me says you don't want my money.
Speaking of which, so some of us entertainers were talking about the way people tip, and that has and I don't know if you and I talked about this last time. It's been very interesting. Like, so men versus women. I feel like, and so and there's another boy that's here. His name is Alex, and Alex and I, like, we both kind of have. Alex is this beautiful Hispanic boy. And we're a little different in height and whatever, but have a similar vibe. we were talking, but anyways, we were talking about like the way, I don't know. I guess everybody has like sometimes women gravitate towards one boy more than the other, or men, or older or younger or whatever. Um,
Right.
and it's interesting. Like the tipping has been interesting in the sense that like sometimes it's been a little bit awkward for the people that are going to tip the male dancers. And we've been trying to teach some of these younger kids that are coming out to shows like so.
Right.
I grew up in that era of drag queens. They take your money, like, and tell me if you agree or disagree on this. But drag queens take your money, and male entertainers, you stick it in. You shove that in a strap and a whatever. Like that's it's kind of more the vibe. Am I wrong, or what are your
Well,
thoughts?
okay. Yes. I mean that's kind of true. Um yes, drag queens do take the money. Most of them are using both hands. 9 times out of 10 when I'm doing it cuz I'm singing live, I only have one. So I usually hold the microphone in my left hand, use the right, but I absolutely do take the money and it's like it's because it's okay, so you're saying they put it in the strap, you're being nice and you're being nice and you fucking know it. Because you know people don't put it in the strap.
Well,
Well,
either
oh,
wherever you want to put it
T.
is fine. But sometimes they'll stand there. Like lately, they stand and they kind of hold it like they're waiting for the male entertainer to come up and take it. Now, most of the time, our hands are busy, our legs are busy. We're doing moves and things.
Right.
Like you got to come up and put it in. Like if it's hard, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. If
Yeah.
you're waiting
I
for
mean,
us to come, I'll come over there. But then it's your job to finish it off and put it in the pouch.
the only time I've had I've had dancers come up to me because when you're a drag queen in a place where um not a lot of people are at for an event, you can get go-go boys and strippers to come up to you. And my thing is I always film people, I always tag people, except and it's one thing. I don't think Gio's working there, so I don't think you'd get booked there. There's this place in Fort Lauderdale called Boardwalk. You're not allowed to film people
Oh, okay.
because let's just put it this way: there's illegal shit going on there, and I found out about that the last time I was in Fort Lauderdale because me naively there was this guy who like came up to me and he was letting people touch his dick. So like I touched his dick because he just like, and then he said, "You come with me," and I'm like, okay, like just as if I was 21 and this is the first time I've ever been in a bar. It's like, okay, I'll follow the dancer. And then when the bouncer's like, okay, so you're gonna have to pay to go in, I'm like, bye, baby, I'm good.
Oh, the
You,
VIP room, the back room.
yeah, yes, yes. It's like you weren't doing shit on stage. I know you ain't gonna be doing shit in here. I'm no, bye bye.
Oh, the things you learn in some of these
Yeah,
venues is interesting.
yes. And that dancer's name is no kidding. I don't know who it is. So actually, that is my first question. So like I know obviously you've been here before, but how did you enjoy Miami when you were here?
I love it. I love that it's. I've got some friends down there just from the years of being, back and forth down there, and a friend that recently moved down there. But I feel like it's always the scene is always kind of changing up. There's always,
Right.
always freshening the bars, the concepts, the food, the menus. Um, so it always feels like a fresh experience every time you're down. It's just I don't know. It's always different. There's always someplace different to check. And I don't not living there. There's always someplace new to find to go and enjoy. Um, and of course the beach, the sun, the sand. So yeah, it's nice to get away and do that.
Wait for you to point out the three reasons why I'm leaving Orlando or why I'm leaving Florida.
Beach on the sands.
Yes. Because
Only because we don't have that all year. We have some of that up here, just not all year round. We have snow. You're gonna love the snow. Yes.
Yeah, I am gonna love the snow. Yes. First of all, you don't need it all year round. Like, this was the thing. I remember when people were saying like, "Are you ready for summer?" I'm like, summer. I'm in Florida. Summer left. Like I remember Christmas Eve was like, or Christmas Day, it was like 85 degrees in Florida and it was raining. I'm like, that's summer.
Right.
Which, by the way, if you're coming to Florida in the summer, just expect that you're going to see rain at some point because it rains almost every day. And sometimes it will be a half an hour, sometimes it will be 10 minutes. It's just, you never know. But again, it's too hot. I remember looking at looking on my phone at one point. I looked at the weather here, and I looked at the weather in Detroit, and this is in June. I'm like, it's 75 in Detroit. I fucking hate it here, like, because it was like 92. I'm like, yeah.
Now we are on our like third or fourth day here of being in the 90s. It's been crazy. It's been like, yeah, like what you guys would normally have down there. But no, and that's the one thing too. Like the only I did spend some time in my 20s living down in the Miami area, and I think it was like after my fourth month, it was edging into Christmas at that point, and that's when I did start to miss being back home. I'm like, I just miss something different, something not party scene until 4 o'clock in the morning, like, and then get up and work and then do that all again. So I get what you're saying, that like I don't know, it's fun in short bursts, but not as fun and long term. It's a lot. It's a lot, and I don't mind being a lot, but that was a lot.
It's also like, well, you probably, I don't know if you remember this from when you lived down here. It's very, very cliquey in Florida. It's one of the things I hate about living here, where it's like, because my view is, especially now through this, it's like you're not gonna book me. You're not gonna book me. The person who knows, I'm not gonna say I know everybody, but I know a lot of people that I could get you here. It's like, you're not gonna book the bitch who knows Dalton Riley and Ricky Roman. Like Ricky's my friend.
Ooh.
I could ask him to come here. Yeah, I love Ricky. Yeah. Ricky's my friend. I could ask him to come here. I'd have to ask him 2 weeks before you actually want him there, because this is the thing. And he knows it because I pointed this out to him last time. I have Ricky's phone number. I love Ricky. He's almost impossible to get a hold of. Which is why I'm gonna say this. I, behind the scenes, am trying to get him and Jay Steele together.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So that is my pet project. I laid the egg the last time he was here. He was here what? Oh, a month ago. Hey, he was just here last month. Yeah. So that will be nice. And I know Jay wants to work with you, because he mentioned that. I know Jay's busy and you're busy. I get it.
I know it's been hard. It's in a different. It's just in enough of a different spot in town where it's geographically trying to make you sort of like. Sorry, all the thoughts in my head jumble together at the same time. Yeah. So I'm like a big fan of a paper planner, because I can flip it up and then look and go, okay, what am I? Before I say yes to this, where am I going to be at on this night, the next night? And I don't know. Anytime I get like a shoot going on in my head, I'm like, okay. You always worry about being like the body and hair and everything being like where you want it to be, like perfect before you go and do that. And I don't know, we haven't got that lined up yet, but it's in the works. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, also, I can get it because, like, first of all, he's in Louisville. I understand why it's okay. I'm not even gonna pretend to know what the country looks like. Again, I went to school in Florida. Like, be lucky I know how to spell my name. Like, but that's not close. It's also why, like, that's why also to Florida, me wanting to move out. It's like in Detroit, I feel like that's a little bit more like centrally located. So that way, if I want to like potentially fly to New York, fly to Seattle, it's not going to like take as long because even though it's on a plane, getting out of Florida takes forever. That's what. Yes. That's why it's a.
And no matter what, I feel like you're going through Atlanta, and I've not worked in Atlanta. I'd love to, and there's a lot of cool stuff going on there. But man, that airport is like last on my list of places I want to that I think anybody wants to hang out. Like that's just
See, I haven't been to the Atlanta airport because the only times I've been to Atlanta, I've driven, which
it is the craziest airport. Like just I don't know, just a tough. I've never had been rechecked and repatted down other than going through Atlanta, like on a layover.
Right.
Like never have you ever like had a layover where they pull you aside? I don't know what list I ended up on. Probably several. Who knows? But I actually got pulled and repatted down at the Atlanta airport one time. Like, I didn't go anywhere. I didn't leave the airport. I mean, I got some French fries and that was it. Like, why am I being patted through a security check? Because it's Atlanta and it's crazy.
So you mean after you went through TSA, you were already in like the gate section and they pat you down again?
Yeah, I mean,
on the plane.
Well, actually, I think I must have had a layover from Cleveland. Where was it? From Cleveland and then in Atlanta to going to Florida. And on my layover in Atlanta, they pulled me and did a whole other pat down and check. I'm like,
that's crazy.
Where do you think I went or did? I mean, this is what list am I on?
Yeah. Wow. I'm trying to think. I haven't flown in a while. That was actually the conversation. So I told my dad, and he was like asking me some questions, and he's like, "So when you're going to Detroit, are you driving?" I'm like, I know it takes more than 4 because I told him I want to take off 4 days. I'm like, I know it takes more than 4 days to get from Florida to Detroit. I may not be that smart, but I at least know that. Like, he's like, yeah,
a couple. Unless if you're driving straight through, but I mean that's you probably want to stop and take a little bit of break. So it'll take a few days.
No, because what's the longest drive? I think Miami's like the longest drive I've done recently. That's like 2. Because I don't leave Florida because like again, why would you? And like once you start getting into like driving up into the northern parts of Florida, all of a sudden it's not Florida anymore. Like everybody just starts talking with a southern accent, and that's where I'm like confused. I'm like that's what confused me the first time. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm still in Florida. Everyone sounds like they're from Alabama. Like what? Yeah. Okay. Whoa. There we go. Oh, here we go. So, where would be your dream city to perform in?
Let's see. I don't know. So I've never been to Vegas, but I know that I've seen the quality of boys and girls and people that they have out there, and I know that I'm not built all like that, but I don't know. I think it'd be cool to do something like big like that. I've obviously checked Michigan and Detroit off on the list. I guess the next one would probably be somewhere in Florida. I think it'd be cool. I am in talks right now with somebody about maybe doing something into West Virginia or Indiana. And I haven't been out there to perform yet. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm really open to anything that's outside of the area that I've been so far, and doing something, something a little bigger. Um,
Right.
and I follow the Magic Men. Have you ever seen their stuff that's on Instagram? And they're always doing cool shows and things, and their choreography is amazing. So to do something like that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Something that's like maybe on a little bit of a cast. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even think I did Chicago. Did we talk
Yeah.
about that? That was
Yeah.
fun. With
Yeah.
the male burlesque show out there, and that was ridiculous. Like walking into that was like, oh my god! Like I didn't the the it was at the Baton Lounge, and this place had
Yeah.
like there's as like a 2-story, 3-story ceilings with the big red velvet curtains, and it
Right.
really felt like walking into the set of like the burlesque movie with Christina Aguilera and Cher. Like,
Oh, that sounds work.
oh, it was crazy. Like they opened up these big red velvet curtains and like this is the way to the green room, and there's boys back there swallowing fire and doing hula hoop tricks, and I'm like, I can do some splits and cartwheels. Like I didn't prepare for fire breathing, you know, air, I don't even know. It was crazy, and they were all so nice and so accommodating. Like, this is your spot over here, and it was such a crazy, cool experience. It was just, yeah. So to keep doing more stuff like that would be awesome.
See, my thing. Oh, I can answer this question easily. L.A. No, I'm kidding. No, no.
Have you been out to LA or not yet?
I have not been out to LA, and let me put it this way: there's certain people that I shouldn't run into in LA because I've said some stuff about them, like because of course I got a big mouth, I got an opinion, like, and I tell that to a lot of people. This is what I have to say to LA. I still want an answer to this. To the strippers and go-go's out there, to the male strippers and go-go's out there, what makes y'all think that you could be rappers? Like,
Is that's a thing?
yes, like in the span of like, um, I want to say like 4 months, I've seen like 2 or 3 different people put out music, and I'm like,
Hmm.
it's. Which, by the way, I'm putting this out. Derek is definitely not putting out a single, and
No.
if if he is, I have a couple songs written that I can just like hand off to people because they're like too bubblegum. Well, I wouldn't say they're too bubblegum. They're just too like they're not like personal to me. They're like songs that anybody could sing. Anyway, so the point of yeah, that's definitely a thing out there, and it's also I can't be fake. I can't be fake. Like, and that's something I know you have to do to like survive even like visiting LA. Is you have to be like, oh my god, babe, you did amazing work. Like when you fucking suck. And I'm gonna be the person, the East Coast of me is gonna be like, who the fuck told you could go on stage? Like, do you have no friends? No, I'm kidding. I'll answer this question seriously. So definitely New York City would be one place that I would love to perform. Actually, if I had the money, I'd love to live in New York, but can't do that. So I do New York, and then I'll do an international one too. I feel like the New York City, the UK, London would also be an amazing place to perform.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I haven't even thought of something on that scale.
Well, this is the thing that I can tell you. At least from what I know, they don't have strippers in the UK. I know that from asking some of my international friends. I'm like, there's not. I'm like, there's none. Like that to me seems like wild.
Hmm.
I figured at least like maybe in London or something like there'd be like one bar, but no,
Nothing. Interesting.
no. And that's something I don't. Well, also, I always feel like also in that part of the world, also things are backwards. Where like I'd fit in much better in the UK because I sing live, whereas in America, everybody does the same. I say they do the same songs. Like, granted, I'm not talking about Whitney here because Whitney, I really think, at least from what I know about her and what she's told me, she really has her niche in Downriver and in Detroit. She has actually something that's different
Very.
than what yeah, because she's like the country diva, and I'm like, I love that.
Yeah.
Like,
And and something that's really cool, like with I mean, something like a lot about her shows is there typically is there's typically a theme, even if it's not. I mean, she loves the country stuff.
right,
But sometimes there's other themes and things mixed in, and she's really good about getting the other entertainers that are part of it, like getting us on board with whatever that theme. Which sometimes it's pushing you outside. I'm like, girl, I'm like, I don't have. Now I got to get a whole nother different outfit with different colors and things for whatever this one's going to be. So it pushes the other entertainers to keep things fresh and keep it exciting. That's for sure. So yeah,
but that is so good. I mean, like, as I say, that is someone who was like, there's certain people. I would say this just based on like interviewing Whitney and like talking to her. I love. She seems like the perfect host, and like I love what she does because like I will say this. I'm like, granted, yes, Whitney drinks like most drag queens do, but like she was sober the time that she was here. She was like really funny, and like I love that.
well, and she's such a business professional. I mean, yes, there's time to party and there's time for there's the show element, and sometimes that does mean that there's some people are drinking and things,
Right.
or drinking rather. Um, but it's always there's always the business mindset with her. It's always everything is set up and in place. And if not rehearsed, I mean, there's a pretty good idea of what the run through is going to be, so that there aren't issues and flubs. And man, she doesn't play like you. You have your music on time, you have your this on time, and if you're not, you're out. It's you're docked, you're whatever. So she doesn't play around with any of that. That's for sure.
Right. And that's what I told her about me potentially, like, if I ever were to work one of her shows. It's like, listen, I'm not going to be late because you literally know I can't be late because I don't need a ton of sound check, but I need at least something. So that way I can tell you, like, do this, do that. I need a little more reverb on my mic today. I'm not necessarily sounding my best. Man, I'm trying to think. It's been so long since I performed. I think the last time I performed was like 2 years ago. Wait a minute. I had to think about that. Yeah. It's been 2 years, and like I have to say, as we were talking about last time, because I remember our interview, it's like I am definitely gonna incorporate my original songs into performing, and in that I'm gonna say some of y'all ain't ready. because I've got like fire in my soul, and like this is gonna be an emotional experience. And as I told somebody, I'm honestly thinking it's true. Probably like the day it comes out, I'm just gonna be like an emotional mess and like crying because I put so much. I put so much into it, and I've done a lot of stuff that it was very freeing because everything pent up is not good for you. Like when people say like, I feel like especially in this society, there's so much shame for admitting anytime you've had weakness. If this is what I'm gonna say, if you're a man, even I would say even to like people think it's so much easier if you're a gay man. No, it's not, because you're told, especially I would say definitely in Derek's time, absolutely in mine, you're taught to be a certain way. You're taught to do this checklist and be like, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. You're not allowed to cry, you're not allowed to be sad, you're not allowed to be emotional. You have to sit there and conform and lower your voice and just be masculine, and it's toxic. I'm not saying that there's not a good like yin to the yang of it, but it's like if that's all you are, you suppress yourself, you like close yourself down in a box and like let your emotions just build up. Eventually you're gonna grow older and that box is gonna be like a jack in the box. You're gonna wind it up and just you're just gonna be there. And
sorry, I didn't mean to laugh.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I'm very dramatic, but it's like in that it's like you're going to be that way.
I think that's what's exciting. I don't know, and maybe
okay.
there's a big no. That's a good point to that, and I think that's what's exciting about or freeing, or I don't know, about being on the entertainment side, and maybe that's I don't know. So dial back to that, like it's so this past year. Well, and we talked a little bit. So I got my start, and I would always say the industry, but because I feel like the industry as far as entertainment includes, my first start was back as a hair and makeup art. Well, it was an intern at a modeling agency back when I was 19.
Right.
And that sort of that required a lot of time, on set with the photographers and the photo shoots for the models, test shoots and things.
Right.
And that it just sort of was the right place, right time. A stylist didn't show up, and I ended up learning how to be a hair and makeup artist, wardrobe, like steaming the clothes. I was initially sent there by the agency to like, hey, make sure that they don't shoot anything that's like this or to that, or, make sure on the girls that we get an athletic look. Like I was there like the checklist person. And then when the stylist didn't show up, I had to double as that. And then that snowballed into 15 years of doing hair, makeup, and wardrobe for hundreds of different models and actors, for their test shoots and things.
Right.
And, being, even the day-to-day work in the agency, the business stuff, the papers and print and copies and things. I mean, it's still exciting, but not as exciting as being on set with, these different people and personalities and, creating something and, and the agency being excited, the model being excited, the client being excited. We did stuff for Nestle and Smuckers and Little Tikes and Dick's Sporting Goods. And even though it was like hair in a ponytail with a girl, in a sports bra and and whatever shorts, to pretend to play volleyball, it was still like really, it was like, oh my God, this is it. This is, I get to do this, and I don't have to worry about checking all those, the stereotypical boxes. Like I get to, like this was the job expectations. This is what we created. We made it. And that was like the exciting, like, I just wanted to keep having that feeling. And that was, and so like being, on this side, being the person that's on stage at a bar or nightclub or an event, or, even the stuff that we did on Friday in Chicago was, it was a lot of like sweaters and jeans because you're shooting a little bit ahead of time. I mean, wasn't the sexy borrow night stuff. It was just fun to, I don't know. Yeah. Not have to worry about, you're still worried about some of those things in the back of your head, but it was just, I don't know, the creating the magic of this stuff is, I don't know.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
Right.
And then being around people, and I think, and that's where I was going, and I think, as far as shows and things, I think that's why some performers and bookers gravitate towards each other, because it's, you get to create whatever you want it to be without having to, I don't know, your show, Whitney shows. It's pushing the limits, pushing the boundaries, being something different, and it's for the people that are out there in the audience that show up, to make them, give them some place that they can be like, okay, wow, I found, this is where I belong. These are my people. This is it. This is who I want to be around. That's who you're doing it for. I mean, and for yourself, and it's fun to get up there and be on stage and you kind of live out, your truth, your whatever. But I mean, it's it's being, I think, for me anyways, as on the entertainer side, it's, I grew up with watching so many cool entertainers and performers, in my 20s, and it's like, okay, I want to help be a part of the person that's, like, this is the cool place to be, and feel excited and have fun and included. I sat in the creakiest chair tonight for this. Sorry.
You fun, David.
It was new and cute, and I'm like, oh, this will be great, and it makes so much noise. Sorry.
Yeah, not a problem. Actually, point A. Whose idea was it to put Derek in clothes? No, I'm kidding.
91 degrees here. I thought about no clothes, but I thought, that might not be. I mean, we can do shirt off. There's a lot of spaghetti when I got home this week. I will tell you, I listen. I love being show ready in the gym and all that stuff. But man, like when my other favorite part is when the shows are done, like the eating that I do, like you would not believe. I ate on Sunday or Monday when I got back. I ate 2 whole boxes of like spaghetti. I don't know how much spaghetti that is, like that much.
Wow. Yeah.
Like that, and 2 jars of sauce by myself for lunch and dinner, and like a whole thing of salad. So the eating, that's my favorite part whenever the show's done. Is the sweatpants, and then food. So if you're gonna something, like I'm not picky. If you have chips available at your venue or your show, chips like salt and vinegar chips are the best, but any kind of chips will work.
Yeah,
and a candy bar, and I'm good to go.
See, this is why that's really not diva. Like. Like, that's why when I hear about people's like stage riders and all that, it's like, mine is very simple. It's like, I need like a few bottles of green tea and water at a place when I get there. Like, that would be in my rider. That'd be like my one thing. The people who are like, I need this, I need that, I need just red M&Ms. Like, that's insane. Like, because I'm very simple. Like, this is my thing in terms of like all this stuff. I would prefer to be booked at night. If I have to work during the day, I will like curb my language accordingly. But Don't book me at a kids event. That's also my thing. Don't book me at a kids event. Like, but
I think the neediest or that I've been to date was my friend Ty. So Ty, who books me out of Detroit a lot, is like he might. I don't know if he'd messaged, is there anything you're going to need? And I realized like after I'd gotten on the turnpike, like 2 hours down the road, I must have reached back for something that I was gonna finish putting on my face or whatever, sunscreen,
right.
something. And I realized I left my whole bag, like my stop kit bag, like my, the deodorant, the stuff, the things. And I'm like, oh my God, like everything is, I'm like, I just need like cheap hairspray and a toothbrush and toothpaste. It's like, this is like the only, like, if that's the only thing I need for tonight. And he made like, I got there, I'm getting all set up, and all of a sudden this like cute little boy, like there's a knock on the door, and this cutest little Twinkie boy is like, hi, I'm here with a hairspray and a toothbrush. And I'm like, oh, those are for me. And who are you? But
yes,
like that was, so I try not to be like needy or ask for anything. And when they, if they ever ask me, do you need anything, do you want anything? I'm like, it's usually just like, no, just chip. You have chips? Like, I'll buy them. Chips and a water. That make me happy. So, and then I'm good to go. Or Red Bull. Red Bull's always a good option.
See, yeah, I don't do the energy drinks. I will admit, I tried something stupid today. I'll say that. Like, I will say this. I'm going to use this as a learning lesson for the audience out there. If something's not FDA approved, there's a reason for that. So, like, I took this pill. It's on Amazon. I'm going to say the name of it so none of y'all go out there and buy it. It's called Swarm. It's an energy pill. I have been wired the whole day. Like, it's actually giving me a little bit of chest pains too. So I'm like, avoid it at all costs. We try and do whatever we can to be skinny. It's like, I'll be good. I'll start Slim Fast in a few weeks. I'll be fine. Like, this is not worth. First of all, I looked at the side of the bottle and it's like, it literally says on the side of it, it's like, take one with each meal. Don't take more than 3. I'm thinking if I took 3 of these pills, I'd be in the hospital. Like it's literally, excuse me. It's one of those kinds of things. I'm like, but anyway, lessons learned. I'm in my 20s. I'm still in my 20s for a few weeks. A little over a week. I'm still allowed to make mistakes, but yeah, what was it? Oh, you said energy drinks. I remember I tried, I think it was called Bang.
Oh yeah, they have like the really good, like the cotton candy flavors and stuff.
Yeah,
that's how they get you. Is like with the fancy flavors.
And let me put it this way: my body rejected it. My body did not want it because somebody's told me to try that instead of drinking soda. They're like, try this. I felt like I was going through a panic attack. I'm like, no, my body does not want this. Like, I'm good. And then I ended up having to drink water because, like, my heart was like thumping. I'm like, no, this is not good. Like, so I don't do energy drinks. I'll do soda. I really need to be alert. Yeah, I'll do soda.
I like to nurse an energy drink. Sometimes pre-show. It depends if I'm lately with the way some of these engagements have been working out. Like you going from one spot to the next. So instead of having a lot of pre-show time, like getting there with a lot of hours, like because I'm coming from someplace else,
right?
That shorter window. And I don't know. I have slowed up on some of the energy drinks a little bit because it does want to hype me up, and I used to rush through my shows, like when you're first starting out and you're like, I don't know, like trying to take it all off faster, or hit this
Yeah.
step, hit that move. And what I've learned now is like I, like to settle in, be comfortable, be awake, but
Right.
take my time through my numbers and um, enjoy the audience, the crowd, the people, and not feel too hyped up that I'm like rushing, and all of a sudden I've got like all this music at the end. I'm like, oh, there's nothing else to take off or nothing else to nothing else to
Right.
do. Um, so yeah, no, I feel you on that.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Actually, there's a question. So, with you having to travel, have you ever been late to a show?
Um, I've cut it really close a couple times.
Yeah.
With um, I don't know. I like to be like an hour early, or at least a half an hour early. I think is good.
Right.
As I always show up. I get ready before I leave, so hair and everything's ready to go. It's just a matter of
Right.
getting dressed. Um, but I've had there only I had to cancel a couple of shows a few months back because I had an injury. I had an ankle injury that I
Right.
wasn't able to dance, or hobble around, really, even for that matter.
Right.
Uh, and then one show because it was worked a series of events, and then the COVID and RSV both at the same time got me. But like with that, it was like a Wednesday before a Saturday show. And by
Right.
Wednesday, I knew I'm like, there's no way. I went to the doctor. I'm like, there's no way I'm not going to be sick by Saturday. And just the thought of even going and being around people and getting anybody else sick,
Right.
so I caught that early enough. But man, it killed me that whole week just knowing that I had to cancel them. And I don't know if they found a replacement, whatever. And that place booked me back, but I felt terrible
Yeah.
for days, even after just the fact that I said would never miss an engagement once it's booked and ready to go and the posters are up. But no, I've not been. This weekend I was worried because
Yeah.
with the price stuff we had, even because I stayed in Columbus, and
Right.
where I was staying was literally a 14-minute drive from the house to the venue. And
Right.
what was it? We had been out during the day, stopped at some of the places, the meet and greet things and whatever. And then
Right.
like the show is supposed to be at 10:30, and like just by 10:05, I'm still in the car. I'm like, we need to be there now. Like this is not good.
Yeah.
Um, but I was the first boy there. So at least I was like, okay, wait, I'm not the last one here.
Yeah.
On anybody on the bus, just because let me tell you, that city and trying to get around for Pride and stuff. I mean, the Ubers and things, it was crazy. I mean, it was there was a lot of travel available. Just
Right.
it was bumper to bumper. As I know
Yeah.
from the Saturday night show, uh, like I could see the venue and see the
Hmm.
lights, and we are
Yes.
probably like 25 cars back. And I'm like, "Hey, Uber driver, is it okay if I pop out here?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah, go, go, go." So then I'm like running with the bag and rolling luggage down the sidewalks of Columbus, dodging people like in and out. Um,
Right.
the cool thing with that though was the line was huge. That when I wasn't sure what to expect with that either. And when I was this
Yeah.
line of like four people wide all the way down the street, and I'm like running past, like I'm like, "Ooh, this is kind of exciting! Oh my god, there's so many people!" Like it was. I walked in the same
Right.
time as a fire marshal. I'm like,
Oh,
could be getting
wow.
shut down, but it didn't.
Yeah.
It was that big that they sent the fire marshal. That's for sure.
Crazy. See, I've never been late to a show. I did have to literally respectfully decline an offer because there's at one point I was at work and my work is 40 minutes from my dad's house. I had to get home, get ready, and then drive back into the town near where I would have been a half an hour. And I had scheduled an interview for this on the same day. And I barely made it on time in my own bedroom. So I'm like, I can't do it. Like, I'd love to, I can't do it. And I've been trying to get the person who I had on here for months, and I'm like, I'm not gonna ask them to like rebook. We've been going back and forth like all this time. Let me do this. But I mean, so wait, from oh, you said Columbus. Yeah, Ohio and Michigan are close together, but not like extremely close. With that being said, if I ever meet a drag queen in Cleveland, I might work in Cleveland too. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking pretty close. Depending on
Yeah,
which part and how far and where you're going.
right.
It's a was about a little under about 3 hours from Cleveland to Michigan, 2
Yeah,
hours from Cleveland to Columbus,
yeah,
give or take, depending on how far over and around you're going.
right. Yeah.
Chicago
So,
was a 5.5 hour drive from Cleveland overnight. That was the longest drive I've done in a while by myself. It was I did it was like a music montage and then some radio, news radio, and then some quiet time. And I'm like, oh, like that last, it's always that last half an hour for me when I start like
right.
dreading, panicking, like, you know, get there and I'm not like, do I even want to get out of my car? Like, what am I doing? Am I like the nerves start to kick in like that last half an hour. But then like once I get there and meet whoever it is I'm meeting, and I'm like, okay, I'm good to go. I'm ready to do this.
See, for me, it's probably why I don't go down to Miami, because it's like when you're driving in Florida, for people who don't know, traffic can be going. And once you hit Fort Lauderdale, all of a sudden all the cars just stop. Doesn't matter what time of day it is. It could be early in the morning. It could be like mid afternoon. Traffic stops. And you're in traffic for a while. So that's why when I look at my phone and it says, you've got another 5 miles, I'm like, fuck. Like, that's why the one thing that I wish I could do. So this is the craziest part. So there's a train that runs from Orlando to Miami called Brightline. It runs through my town. There are no stops in my town. So literally the train runs through it.
Okay.
I'm like,
you just have to jump off and jump and roll.
See, because that's my thing. I'd love to take a train. Like, I'd love to take a train. Like, for a train ticket and like Uber. Well, not Uber, Lyft. I'm cheap. Like, but it's like to do that, it'd be like probably cost a little more money to do that, but either way, it would be beat getting stuck in the traffic. Yep. So okay. Oh. Okay. So I know you said you were at a few different modeling agencies, but how excited were you when you got signed to Colby Management?
Really excited. That place. He's got such a vibe, and just looking at the roster of talent and seeing, your first thing is always like, who am I going to be up against? And to see, all these faces and personalities, and it's like that's intimidating. It's like, oh, like, okay, I've got to work hard if I want to make this happen. The same thing with Rune. That was like, was it four different interviews with them and different people with them, and then their directors before they offered the contract, and said yes. And I'm like, I kept thinking that the next one was going to be the one who's like, no, we changed our mind. No, we're not interested. So to go through all that and then to get the yes was really exciting.
Yeah.
So right now it's been a lot of auditions, and submits things where take a picture with a basketball. We need digitals, whatever. Everything's always several weeks out, so there's a lot of auditions that are floating out there. Fingers crossed that something comes through with that. Oh, and I'm going to be in did get some other exciting news. I'm cast in a gay horror film, or a horror film rather. I guess it's everything friendly. It's
Yeah.
called. Let me pull this up so I don't butcher it. It's the Hollow Lake movie. So it's filming here in Ohio. I've worked with the guy Roger Connors, which I've got to introduce you to. He does a lot of really cool films and things.
Yeah.
Meet the movie. I don't know if you've heard of that or seen anything with that. It's not out
No.
yet.
No.
A lot of these guys have worked together before, so I'm in a very small little piece to already great actors and things that are doing like the big roles, but I'm excited to be a part of that cast. I think I get murdered in the film, so I'm not sure. I don't think I'm the final girl. There's that, but that'll be exciting. And there's some naughty scripting and a whole lot of attitude for the role that I do get to play. So it'll be a different character than the big brown eyes and the quick smiles. I get a little more sass. So I'm excited to be able to have a little more attitude and be a bit of an asshole for a minute.
Wait a minute. Wait. No, I'm not doubting you at this. I'm just asking a question. You act?
So I actually went to school for broadcast journalism. That my thing was, I always thought I'd go be on the radio, and then if I was cute enough, they'd put me on TV or something and let me read the news. But no, all through school I was did theater, speech, debate, and I did a duo and drama, and did like a drama piece of played a person that had cancer. So I did do some of the dramatic roles.
Yeah.
But which was really helpful when I was working as a booking agent in the agencies, as far as coaching people on doing their auditions, their tapes, kind of how things should look and sound and feel. So it's so weird being on this side, because I want to second guess a lot of it, or like just I don't know, like I throw something on tape, and I'm like, God, sometimes I don't even listen to it back. Like I'm like, I know how I wanted it to sound, but I don't want to look at myself. This isn't that bad. Like so people enjoy that, like looking back and seeing what they put together. I'm like, no, don't show me. Like if let's do this, let's make it great, and if it's great, run with it. So yes, there will be some acting on the 25th that I get to be a part of. So I'm really, really excited for the role and the opportunity.
Yes. I mean, that's amazing. This is my thing. As I've said, I'm not opposed to acting. I'd want to go into like maybe a few, because I did drama in high school, but I only did it for 1 year. So I'd maybe want to do like a few more classes before I set on a foot on a screen. But again, I'm not opposed to it.
And I think classes and stuff, I think they're great. The only reason I haven't worried about too many classes or things up to this point for it, as far as current classes, is so like Roger Connors, who's one of the guys he's the director of the Meat movie, but he's also cast in this one that I'm going to be working with here next week. I know that with those guys, like when we worked together on the last one, just the way that they worked and the way that they directed, and the way that with the cast, like it was just like everybody had such a great chemistry that you would somebody would hit their lines and be like, okay, that was great. Give me that on this piece, get a little more energy, a little more, go for the big bang on this one. So with that, it was really easy to be comfortable and just kind of live the role in a sense, and not be nervous. Not
Right.
to say that that's going to happen on every job or every set or every production, because there's ones where
Right.
listen, I've been on some shoots where it's I felt like stilted as far as what I was supposed to do, or I don't know. Like the shoot with Aldrin that I did last week in Chicago, it was just like the easiest, except for the part where it was 90 degrees and we're in like this is the most clothes I've had on in a long time. My mom will love that. It was like long white pants because he picked out all the clothing. So these long white pants, is like a button up, a sweater, and then a wool coat from Zara that was literally down to my ankles. I'm like, this is the most dressed I've been for any gig like in the last 5 years. Um, but the look was so cool. But yeah, it was like outside, full morning sun, Chicago, jumping off the sidewalk, like hailing a taxi, like, hey, uh,
Yeah.
sweat just rolling down everywhere. And then the curls were all over the place. It was, yeah, there was a lot.
That
There's a
sounds
lot of 90
awful.
degrees heat,
Yeah,
but
that
the
sounds
shots are cool.
awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably good and it's gonna come out good and like you're
I,
probably gonna do a great job, but it's like that to me sounds
I'm like, this is the glamorous thing that I wanted to do. You know, he's like, one more time. And the other thing, there were these people lined up for like a shoe drop. So like in that point, it was oh, because we were doing outside stuff. So let's change outfits, and just right there on whatever Erie Street or something, I think it was in Chicago. I'm just changing clothes, dropping down to the boxer briefs, changing to the next outfit. Like, and people are going, nobody cares. Everybody's doing something weird. It's Chicago. It's right
yeah.
up with New York. But yeah, that was the only time he's like, "Are you nervous?" I'm like, no, like I don't think they're not even paying attention to what we're doing over here. They're worried about their tennis shoe drop that's getting ready to happen. So, but
First of
Chicago,
all,
that would be the next place I want to spend more time in.
yes. First of all, this is a point that I'm gonna point out. Somebody saying, "Are you nervous to change in front of?" Derek's literally half naked, half like literally in thongs and like stuff. He shouldn't be that uncomfortable at all. Like, and if you are, you're in the wrong career. But like,
And usually it's such a quick change that it's yeah. Except
yes.
yeah.
See, my thing is, I have the concept. Here's the one movie that I would do as like a movie that I kind of came up with. I don't have like a full script clearly, but like I just have a concept. So it's basically about this town where a truck of radioactive waste crashes into a truck full of pillows. And what happens is it's a horror movie. The pillows go home with people, and at night they start eating the people who are in the houses.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Producers out there, you listen to that. That's a concept to pick up.
Then all of a sudden it's up to like 3 people to sit there and like somehow kill all the pillows that are.
I love it.
Yes, yes. I know this movie sounds absurd just because it is. But I mean, you know that. So actually, okay. I'll skip down to that question, then we'll go back. So I know. So what made you fall in love with sci-fi movies?
Oh. Doing like which series or
Well, I know you're into sci-fi movies, so like,
yeah.
I know that's kind of a broad question, but I didn't know how to like put that in other than that.
Well, and now before I answer that, I will say so. That's always that's there's what are the two? You have the like the sci-fi and the what's the other one that's sort of similar there? I forget. You always have people argue between the two genres, like that there's that it's this not that. Which category something falls into, but I've always liked like so Buffy the Vampire Slayer was probably the first thing I ever saw that was like in that like supernatural. I guess that's what it is. There's the supernatural category or the sci-fi category, and I kind of feel like
Right,
they kind of go a little hand in hand.
right,
I'm not like super hardcore to where I'm going to fight you like fist fight you over which way one thing or another goes. because I think it all kind of fits in there. And literally last night when I got home, like, and I was just decompressing from the whole long weekend, I've been watching the Sci-Fi Channel, like whatever, like
Yeah.
whatever comes on, I'm gonna watch it. So it's like Jeepers Creepers and all kinds of stuff. But
Right.
I don't know. I think just like like probably the fact that it's usually something with the main character is like kind of like an underdog that finds themselves and finds their clan and finds confidence and strength within themselves to go out there and in like Buffy the Vampire Slayer's case, go out there and kick ass
Right.
and be able to juggle like wanting to do this over here and what she's supposed to be like. If she wanted to be the cheerleader, the this, that, and like the normal whatever girl, but she's troubled with this duty over here, and finding that and finding herself and finding her way. Like that was, I don't know. I just feel like I related to that underdog character of this is what you're supposed to do and this is what I want to be, and how do you find that balance and go out and kick ass and be confident and make something of yourself. So I don't know. Does that make sense? I know it sounds like super
Right.
like.
Well, okay. I'm gonna ask. When you're talking about Buffy, you talk about the TV show, or you talk about the movie?
Oh, both. I mean,
Okay.
the movie is where I fell. I don't know. Sarah Michelle Gellar was where I fell in love with like the series. I mean, that's
Right.
I cried whenever the last one when she died in the very end.
Right.
The end of the series. That's why now, like, if anybody's gonna ever be friends with me or date me or anything, like, you have to know this. I will not watch usually the last 3 episodes of any series, but definitely not the finale. If I love a show, like, I will never, ever, ever watch. You can go through my Netflix history, and I'll prove it to you. I never watched the final episode because if I do, that means it's over and like it's done. And if I never watch the final episode, then it's like the series lives on forever rent free in my head. Like I'll go back and watch it 17 times over. Like Pretty Little Liars, hands down one of my favorite shows. I still have not like completely finished the final episode. I mean, I read about it online, so I knew what happened in the books. But yeah,
Right.
that way the characters and the things can still like exist out there in the universe. And yeah.
Well, I mean, I know that because my mom introduced me to Buffy. Like like 2 of her like biggest shows from that era of TV were Buffy and Gilmore Girls. So
Okay.
like, yeah.
And if you look Buffy, so Joss Whedon did these other things. There's one the Dollhouse.
Yeah, my mom showed me Dollhouse too. Yeah,
and it had the brunette that was in Buffy that was like the other vampire slayer from Bring It On. I forgot her name.
Eliza Dushku. Yeah.
Eliza.
Yeah.
She was in that. And then there was also like the Serenity series that was like really good, but a little more obscure, off the beaten path. But
okay. So I guess I got one more question. So
okay,
let's wrap this up. Okay, so what's your relationship to drugs and alcohol?
Me?
Yeah.
Those I stay away from those. They're not good for me. If I want to be a good entertainer and a good performer and my best self, that's a quick way to get into trouble. There are people out there that can go and do that stuff and go back to work the next day. If like I'm the kind of personality where like too much of anything that I'm off, I'd be off the rails. So I'm better when I stick to my energy drinks and the food my mom cooks and that kind of path. So
well, I mean, I get it. Like in terms of, I don't drink that often. Well, I've never done drugs, but like I don't drink it that much at all because it's like, especially the story that I tell somebody, it's like, as I'd love to point out to people, in your early to like mid 20s, you don't know how to tell people no. Like you obviously know how to do it, but like it's hard to tell people when people are like, "Oh, just let me buy you this, let me buy you that, let me buy you that." So then I got fucked up. And then I had to drive an hour home. And about 45 minutes into the drive, I got pulled over by a cop. And then luckily my dad came and saved me. Otherwise, I would have gotten a DUI. So, like, that's where I kind of like learned my lesson. And I'm like, in that, I don't need it.
Yeah. It's, you know, like I said, some people can experiment with things and do things and, you know, and not walk away with negative consequences. But then there's other people that are out there that, you know, that's, you start putting that stuff in the mix. That's a quick way to lose everything that's important to you. I mean, not for everybody. I said everybody can. Some people, everybody's different. Some people can handle it, and
Yeah.
I think for me, it's smarter to make smart decisions.
Right. Yes. And on that, as always, a pleasure talking to you.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. And I will definitely keep in touch, trying to.
Yes, I know. I feel like we're always messaging now. We've gotten closer. And we messaged throughout the week. So
Yeah, and it's hard. I try and get people when I can. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've got more
Definitely.
friends to introduce you to. So we'll talk.
Yes, definitely. All right. And with that being said, this is Gay Out the City. I'm your host, Prince Electro Diamond, and I hope you've enjoyed.